All right, for those who raced up at Okemo, the U16, you can check your run out, which I sent you. Versus this run. Here's a decent example of some good skiing. And for those who weren't at the race, again, we need to understand what good skiing looks like, and this is a good visual provided by Liam up from SMS. I think he came in second in this run. Let's run it regular speed, then we'll slow it down. All right, let's take it a little slower here. So, it was steep, as we know up here in this pitch. So what Liam does here is he kind of had two choices. He could have potentially hooked up and gotten himself much higher line up here, tried to carve the top of the turn and brought shape back here, but he elected to go a little more direct at it, a little lower line, but realized he wouldn't really have the room to arc the entire turn. He had to finish at the gate with direction done, so he did what we call a redirect. He just redirected the skis with a little bit of a pivot. You can call it a skid if you want to, but we call it redirecting. Sounds better. To get the turn started, got his skis not quite in fall line, but then engaged them. I mean, some of you guys were, redirecting the turn, but then, skidding well below the gate. So the key thing is a redirect is redirect a little bit and then roll them up and stand on that outside ski like he did here. Nice position, level shoulders, long outside leg, short inside. This one here is a little different. All right, so here's what we call a stivot. Stivot stands for the combination of steering and pivot, and he's going to toss those skis sideways, a little speed check thing, control, but then as opposed to the redirect, which is sort of pivoting the top of the turn, then continuing the turn, tossed him well past that, but then we'll release the skis and bring the tips right back down. So toss them sideways, skidded a tad, brought the tips right back down the hill. That is called a stivot. One thing here you can see, he didn't have weight on the outside ski, so kind of lost his outside ski there for a second. Had to pull it back and had to really hook up the hill here. Gain a little elevation to sneak around this gate, so a little bit late coming in there, but he didn't panic. Carried the turn out. He's coming onto the flat. He knew he could ride kind of the low line for a couple of gates and work himself back on line because he was coming onto the flat. So a little behind it. Now he's caught up. Come on the flat here, a couple of gates, grabs the bully for speed. Got out of it though. Not really for that turn, but he prepared because this is the big one coming up here over this breakover. So he got himself out of the bully tuck, well back before this one. Nice high line in here. And coming on this breakover, as we talked about, you really need to think of these things as a face of a clock, and we want our skis pretty much going right down the hill in the fall line, which would be 12 noon, because there was enough space between this this blue and the next red to pull half the turn down there. So he didn't have to come over with real, complete direction done because there was enough space to carry it out. All right, so, again, think of it as for the vantage point of the racer, coming over a breakover. If this is where it breaks over, going from flat to steep. In this particular case, we wanted our skis basically at 12 noon. A lot of you came over, running way too direct at this blue, and you had your skis going over the breakover at like 10 a.m., which meant you had to really then, you were low hooking up back for that turn. As we mentioned, who inspected with me, there was another breakover down past airplane turn, and we said you want your skis coming across that one at like 1 o'clock. So it all depends on where it is, how offset it is below. But we got to use that as a reference point for the future. While we're here, the nice thing Liam does is comes through, his motion for sure. Comes in here, he's transferring the weight right now to the new outside ski with his left foot. And then he moves forward along it, gets his hips pretty much over the boots, got nice ankle flexion. But he knows he's got to come in and press. Anytime going from a flat to a steep, you've got to move forward because the hill's going to fall off beneath you. And what we call, wiping the counter. Look at his arms. In GS, we tend to be arms wider in the transition for balance, but then moving them forward, and you can see that arm moving forward in what we call a wiping the counter kind of method. You can see it down here again, harder to see, gets a little blurry, but watch the right arm, boom, wiping the counter. A lot of you guys come in with your hands kind of just wide with elbows next to the torso the whole time. Move those hands forward. Let's see it again. Wiping the counter right there. Helps you drive through the turn, get into the front of the boot. Right there, wiping the counter. All right, so again, some nice motion and movement out of Liam. Gets his hips up over the boots there. Gets his feet out from underneath us. And, we talk about bringing shape back to the pole. Obviously, rise line. He's in rise line right now, but he's intersecting rise line with his skis pointing out and away from the panel, which will allow him now to bring shape back to the panel, having his turn done with direction done on the panel. There he is, standing on the outside ski. One thing we talk about in GS, we're not really looking to have tremendous up and down motion, up on weighting, fairly low. He's actually going to try a little tuck here, but we go through the transition here. We kind of move the hips forward as opposed to going up, moving forward. Just try a tuck here for a second and realizes, nah, this turn's too big. But, giving his feet room. Long outside leg, short inside leg. And you really stand on that outside ski. And he's pressing hard to get that thing come around. Little pole plant, pole touch. So, those are the keys. Nice angles. We saw him get the feet up from underneath them. Angles, motion, pole touch, and bringing shape back to the gate. And that's some good stuff. Thanks, Liam, for the demo.